Okay, so let me stop sharing. And it's all yours, Jeffrey, because I'm looking forward to what you have to say about all
Okay.
this.
Okay. Well, can you see my screen first and foremost?
Yeah, let them know who you are first.
Okay.
For
Okay.
those
So
who don't
yeah.
know you.
Okay. My name is Jeffrey Smith. I've been doing SEO since 1995. Essentially, the way I got started is I had an idea, an epiphany popped in my head for an electronic air freshener device that plugs in a cigarette lighter. And I set out on a journey for 8 years building that product and making it a reality so I literally had an invention, had an idea, built something that wasn't there. And by the time that we got the product tooled, we didn't have any money for advertising and marketing. So this is back in the time of Alta Vista. I think Google wasn't even around yet. They had search engines like Lycos, Hotbot, Excite, things like that. So I started toying around and figured out how to game search engines back then. And so it's just been one of those things where it started off as a use case example of using our own site and our own property to do that. That company now is well in the 8-figure range with over 100 employees. It's a global product development firm doing very well. But it all started essentially as a result of using the web to create positioning. And so that's how I got my start. Actually, in 2002, I was able to retire for 4 years, and then I went to Chicago. After that, came out of retirement and created an agency called SEO Design Solutions, and grew that to about 50 clients. But after we got to about 8 clients, we started to run into issues with creating systems and repeatability. Now, this is at the beginning of WordPress. I think we were like in PHP version 3.0 back then. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Everybody can still hear me? Just making sure.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Okay, cool. So yeah, WordPress was just starting off at that time, and we had a really hotshot developer who was really, really slick. And so he actually created a theme, a WordPress theme that allowed us to essentially bolt on an optimized environment. So regardless of whatever content management system people were using, we could optimize that. We could create a beacon of relevance. We could use it to create internal linking. That's what the deep link juggernaut came from if you use our plugin SEO Ultimate. So all these other features that we're having to recreate, we essentially coupled into a WordPress theme. We call it a framework, SEO design framework, and SEO Ultimate. So we just basically kept growing our organization, was able to rank on the first page for the keyword SEO. It's a 2-year endeavor. It took forever. It's no longer there, so don't even search. But long story short, it was about 1,000 blog posts. So we'll go into sort of how to create that. We're obviously all SEOs here, but just a lot of topical depth and breadth and in-depth articles. And it was a 2-year battle, but eventually we got to the first page for SEO. Agency took off. And long story short, I got in a motorcycle wreck, really bad one, ended up in the hospital for about a year, and then had to shut the agency down. And so shifted over into focusing on the software. So all the tools that we built for ourselves as an agency, those are the things that we now share in our SEO Ultimate platform. So that's sort of my story in a nutshell. And so I'm just going to be sharing some examples of how we've used entities and that level of relationship in the past of how to sort of create the frame or control the frame that the bots run on with Google. And so I'll just start here, if that's okay. So obviously we know that Google's purposes, their original mission statement was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And so when you think about those two words, I just summarize it. I prefer to think of that as crawl and serve. And so it needs to be something that you can crawl. And then if the information is useful, that is actually more important now than ever, because it's not just about strings, it's about things. And so machines aren't that smart, so they really need to have you create correlations. And so that's why we use linked data. And so really, the only thing that I can say is that regardless of how intelligent machines become or how elaborate we think Google's algorithms are, it must always bow to language. And so that is our way that we can manipulate it. And so, familiar with linked data, it's pretty much structured data. It becomes useful through semantic queries, uses a variety of technologies, but essentially it's just a way of saying, this is an object, this is a person, place, or a thing, and this is the relationship between it. The idea is to get triples, which is really to confirm your information in a way that it can say that, yes, in fact, we have confirmed this relationship from 3 different layers to ascertain that it is real. And so that really involves disambiguation. And this is what I was talking about before about machines need help if you control the frame. Ideally, you want to give them what you think that they need to become part of that seed set, because everything is crawled. Basically, the only way to get from a page to a page or anywhere online is links, and those links are obviously the way that you can structure those relationships. And so there's a number of things I'm going to be sharing with you on how we've used this in the past. And so I'll just give you some examples of what we've done. So what I always go ahead.
Before you go into that, Jeffrey, back up there for a second, because I don't want people missing that. Okay. I don't want people missing what you just said. Links. Fuck, man.
Yes.
If you guys read the patent,
yep.
If you read just whatever it is that Google is doing, even natural language processor. Okay, so here it is. The natural language processor cannot jump from one place to another all by itself. It cannot teleport. Teleportation right now is not a possibility. It could be in quantum, but it isn't. In order for whatever bot it is that's coming to your website, to get to your fucking website, there has to be a link.